Hey, are you demotivated in your journey to manage your weight? Or do you need a kickstart? Anyways, don't worry. Glance through the pages of the life of this lady who says if you have discipline, drive, and determination, nothing is impossible, and get a strong dose of inspiration. At the age of 33, in 3 short decades, 10 lifetimes hardships. Nothing was encouraging right from her birth. She had to spend a rough and mentally abusive childhood in rural Alabama, living with an alcoholic parent. To add to it, she suffered sexual abuse from some family members. Also, her peers bullied her. Yes, she was obese. At 13, she was 300 pounds. By 16, she was 375 pounds. Health disorders? Obviously, yes. Embarrassments? Of course, yes. Spoiled relationships? Undoubtedly, yes. The beginning of her life's journey was very grim, but don't get melancholic. Now, yes, now, the picture's rosy. But how? Magic? Miracle? No. She realized that weight loss is more than a physical challenge. It's more of a mental challenge. Now, yes now, she has started homeschooling her son. She has her own business and is a technical operations manager for Zella Medical Travel. She's still growing every day and getting better and better. She's busy, but happy. Let's see how all that happened. But before that, her background, her past history. Her mom put her on a diet because she was a pre-diabetic at 375 pounds. She ate to comfort herself to a point of becoming pre-diabetic. The summer before her sophomore year, she lost 50 pounds. Her classmates and their parents started congratulating her. She was getting attention from boys. Disgruntled with her slowing weight loss, she developed bulimia and was able to keep it hidden because she was still obese. Everyone just thought she was losing a lot of weight through diet and exercise from marching band until she started passing out at band practice and football games. She had regular panic attacks at school, and the principal came home and tried to talk her into dropping out. The principal was concerned about her mental health. She gave the suicide letters that she'd posted on a blog. She said to her parents, "I think it would be in your best interest if you withdraw your daughter from school and work on her mental health." Well, that was not an option for her because she was in honors classes and had worked hard to keep up the requirements of her advanced diploma. She fought through it and continued with school and developed suicidal ideations and started to self-harm through cutting for pain displacement. The weight started piling back as she sought refuge in food again. She hid her self-harm as best she could. Her parents were upset. Her mom made her sleep on the floor of her bedroom so she could check in on her at night. One night, her father got very intoxicated and said, "If you want to kill yourself, get on your knees and I'll help you pull the trigger." She hid a lot of this from her friends, and when they did know about her struggles, they didn't know how to handle them because they were kids. She felt ostracized. They just thought she was weird. She completed high school and graduated with a 4.0 GPA and the advanced diploma that she'd worked so hard for. She started college at the University of Alabama. Drugs, alcohol, and her chronic depressive episodes caused her to drop out and start working at a pizza place full-time. She ballooned to over 400 pounds. She met her first husband at 19, and they were married at 21. He was the first man to ever treat her like a person instead of an object. He loved that she was plus-sized and enjoyed giving her unhealthy foods as treats. After they got married, he immediately joined the Air Force and was gone for 6 months. While he was gone, he would call her and tell her about all the women he was attracted to and admitted he actually thought about cheating. This, of course, worsened her depression. She started eating more than she'd ever had and downing a 12-pack of sugary sodas every day. She went to an OB/GYN as a routine appointment because the couple wanted to have kids. At that appointment, she was diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. The doctor told her, "Ma'am, you're 525 pounds. You'll never be able to have children, and if you keep going at this rate, you'll be dead by the time you're 30. Well, she was crushed. She had no idea that her weight had gotten that out of control. At her husband's graduation, he saw her for the first time in months. He was shocked at how big she'd gotten, but honestly, she hadn't even noticed until she saw the photos. When he first saw her, he seemed fine, but when they were alone, it was different. He said, "Enjoy eating like this now, because this stops when we get on base." They moved to Ohio. the military had changed his attitude toward her. The depression, weight gain, and PCOS diagnosis had changed her as well. Their relationship became volatile. The military made him a lot colder than he was before. They would have loud verbal arguments where he would call her fat and lazy, and tell her how they didn't have anything in common anymore. She wanted the gastric bypass surgery, but he wanted her to undergo the gastric sleeve that his clinic was offering. She chose the sleeve because it's what he wanted. As she was going through the phases of pre-op, she talked to her surgeon. He said to her, "What are you expecting from your body if you have this surgery, other than losing weight? What is it that you want?" She said, "I want to be able to run." The surgeon told her, "I'm sorry, but you'll never be able to run. Your body has suffered too much trauma from a lifetime of obesity. Because you're so big, you will most likely have to undergo 2 surgeries, the sleeve, and then a revision to the gastric bypass." Her heart sank. On the day of her surgery, she weighed 464 pounds. After her surgery, she had complications. She was the largest patient they had ever operated on, and she was one of the first this surgeon had performed a sleeve gastrectomy on. Her sleeve sprung a leak due to no fault of hers. All the fluids she had consumed post-op were leaking into her peritoneal cavity, infecting her organs and killing her. She was rushed to the hospital. There was swelling, so they were unable to close the leak. She lost quite a lot of blood during surgery. She almost died on the operating table. She was in the hospital for 3 weeks and had to have intravenous nutrition. During her hospital stay, she saw her husband maybe a handful of times. He sent his commanding officers to chide her for requesting him to be by her bedside. They said, "Your husband told us you were giving him a hard time about him not coming to visit you. You need to be more independent and let him do his duties." Her leak healed and she was released from the hospital. Her husband called her mom and asked her to take her home. While she was still being fed through a tube in her arm, he went out and cheated on her. He told her he was going to a city that was 45 minutes away. When he got home, he gave her sordid details about the relations he'd had with the other woman. She went to Alabama. The first 2 years after surgery, she lost 293 pounds. Then she suffered a knee injury. This put a halt to her working out for months, and depression from going through her divorce crept its way through every aspect of her life. She started putting on weight again. Then she met her current husband. They started enjoying life together, and her depression took a back seat, but the weight gain didn't. She started drinking alcohol way too much and stopped watching what she ate. In May of 2013, at 275 pounds, she found out she was pregnant, something the doctors said would never happen. In November of 2013, at 7 months pregnant, her mom, who had been her rock, passed away suddenly. She tried her best not to break down because she didn't want to go into an early labor. She gave birth to her son in February of 2014 when she was 360 pounds. She'd eaten everything when she was pregnant. She returned to work and her husband became a stay-at-home father. When her baby turned a year old, the grief started to knock so loudly at the door she'd locked in front of it. She found her escape in the bottom of alcohol bottles and pills. She was drinking a case of beer a day after work, every day, and blowing through a month's worth of pills in just a few days. The heartbreak of her mom's death, the stress from her job, and the worry of taking care of her family was just too much for her. She remembers wanting to drive her car off a bridge on the way home from work, or into a ditch. She contemplated ways she could kill herself at certain times of the day so that her child wouldn't find her body. She thought about taking all the pills before bedtime and hoping that they would think she just died from being obese. In 2016, it finally hit her that she needed to let go of the alcohol and pills. She fought tooth and nail as the cravings mounted her every thought. Eventually, it got easier, but she still had her addiction to food. They bought their home, and she continued recovering from her addiction to alcohol. Her husband was supportive, and he would refuse to buy her alcohol, even when she begged and pleaded with him. It seemed like everything was going great, but she was steadily gaining weight and having bouts of grief, depression, and anxiety. She was undergoing therapy, but it wasn't helping. She ignored her weight gain and continued eating what she wanted. She found herself at 408 pounds. In 2018, her friend stopped by and asked her for tips since she was planning to undergo weight loss surgery. She told her friend what not to do so she shouldn't end up regaining like she had. Her friend looked at her in the eyes and said, "Why don't you just reset? You're going to die if you continue like this." She told her that if she lived to see her son hit 18, it didn't matter. "How could you even say that? Look at how you felt when your mom died. You were 27 then. Do you want to put him through that?" her friend asked her. A switch flipped for her. She wanted to protect her son from the pain she'd felt for her entire life and the grief that haunted her for the last few years. She researched how she could reset and get back on track. She went back to the basics and found the Instagram weight loss community for support, changed her username to @FatPeopleMagic because she thought it was funny. The weight loss started happening again. Everything was going great, but she still wanted to run. "You'll never be able to run." The words of the surgeon echoed through her mind every time she thought about it, and wrote it off. After she'd lost 28 pounds of regain, at 380 pounds, she gathered up the courage to try. She downloaded the Couch 25K app and started the program. She was worried that the surgeon and the doctors had all been right, that running wasn't going to happen for her. The first 60 seconds straight that she ran were slow, but she was doing it. She raised her fist in the air, Rocky style, and cheered. She'd run for an entire minute at 380 pounds after being told that she would never run. Even though she was losing weight, working out 5 times a week, and eating healthy, she was still battling crippling depression and anxiety. She was put on medical leave from her job and hospitalized for a suicide attempt. When she was released from the hospital, they diagnosed her with bipolar disorder 2, borderline personality disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic depression, and generalized anxiety disorder. She tried to return to work, but couldn't function anymore. She went on a hiatus from her support system on Instagram. Her husband went back to work, and she quit her job, losing her insurance and most of her medications. She was only functioning to make sure her child was taken care of. She's back on Instagram now. They welcomed her back, and now she talks hilariously about her struggles with mental health, weight loss, and daily life. It's additional therapy for her. Her marriage is getting stronger, her son is happy, and her soul is healing a little each day with each bout of laughter. She still fights her mental illnesses and addiction, but it's getting easier. As for those doctors, she continues to prove them wrong every day. So obesity is not because it runs in the family, it's because no one runs in the family. Okay, that was a joke. Anyway, love your body. All you need is a pair of tennis shoes and motivation to change the course of your life. Guys, laugh, run, lose those extra pounds. Please like, comment, and share. Join us and change lives. Pleased to have you around. Blessed we are to get connected with you.